WEFUNK. We funk.
And a little bit, I suppose, like Benavidez, who I mentioned in the earlier, in the honorable mentions portion of the top 5 list. But my number 3 mega fight, not necessarily somebody in mind, but for the number 3, a fight I hope to see in 2020, but a mega fight for Lomachenko. I guess ESPN's other main real promotional platform, like I mentioned, with Shakur Stevenson kind of being the next on the horizon. The current golden boy in the ESPN top rank camp is Vasily Lomachenko. High tech. And Lomachenko really, pound for pound, as skilled and as impressive of an exhibitionist as we've seen in the sport. However, with the quality of opponents that we've seen Lomachenko up against, an exhibitionist is really more of the feeling you get than a true fighter. Because you've really only seen him, just be way too quick, both with the hands and the feet, for anybody he's faced. And it's been a lot of lopsided decisions, and as well as the epic no-mas streak for Lomachenko, where he left 3 or 4 consecutive fighters on the stool, refusing to come out. Which is just the exact, Vasily Lomachenko in a nutshell, which is just, an overwhelming onslaught and really just a mentally defeating onslaught of skills that he's not exactly of the most powerful puncher, and he does not exactly have the knockout prowess of a monster Inoue. Or even a Teofimo Lopez, who we'll mention at the same lightweight division as Vasily. However, so he's not exactly, the knockout power kind of guy. However, such a dominant fighter that he leaves his opponents mentally defeated, knowing they've got no chance and they're just going to go get lit up for another 5 rounds. They opt to stay on the corner 3 consecutive fights. And really, I guess, just one of the many, many impressive, highlights on the Vasily Lomachenko resume. Right, as he's got a resume that is undisputed. However, you're starting to feel, is he a little bit of a paper tiger with that resume? And of course the backstory, which is epic. If you're unfamiliar, of course, Vasily Lomachenko coming from that Ukrainian boxing system, as well a product, I guess, first of all, of his father, who is like an epic Ukrainian boxing trainer, trains so many of these amazing, including, Usyk, and just so many of these great top-line Ukrainian fighters at all sorts of divisions in the sport that are really dominating and taking over lots of different divisions, like I said, are all under the Papa Lomachenko training camp or whatnot. And Vasily Lomachenko, with that in mind, has literally Ivan Drago style been programmed and trained to be a boxing champion as a child. When Vasily Lomachenko's father was asked when he knew that Vasily Lomachenko was going to be a champion, he replied before he was conceived. And that is really the life's work of Vasily Lomachenko, who, however, being from the Ukrainian system, was forced into an extremely extended amateur career, where unable to turn pro until he went 402 or whatever his insane amateur record is. Just one of the all-time great amateur records for Vasily Lomachenko, who eventually turned pro and just set records at every stop along the way. Won a title on his 3rd fight. Has won. He's been the fastest to win. Titles at every division that he's won. He's up to He's up to belts at 3 different divisions, I guess, at this point. Really just setting records every stop along the way. However, to this point, like I said, really yet to be in a real, really just a back and forth duel with the guy that can handle him, or just hang in the ring with him whatsoever. But even just really yet to be in a fight versus a big name against a guy that can't really handle him. Right? As I always talk about, but there's two sides to boxing: the in-ring and the out-of-ring, and you need some fights against some big names, even if it's not a great opponent, but guys that put you on the map and get you heard by the boxing public. Lomachenko hasn't really even had those matchups, as I guess probably the best fight was against Jorge Linares at MSG with your boy Big LW in the building, and he actually got put on a seat. Coming in hot by a straight right from Linares, and I guess I'll talk about that for Lomachenko in a minute. But really, he's headlined the Garden. He's been in some headlining situations, and ESPN's on a real pursuit to make him a worldwide star. However, you can't do that without any opponents and without any big in-ring fights. Okay, Kami was ditching him, but he's for the lightweight unification that he's been searching for a while as well. People think that Lomachenko might eventually go back down a division or two, where lightweight is ultimately perhaps just a little too heavy for him to just maintain his career at. So talk there. However, he's on pursuit for the unification, would get us in to the mega fight potential of this. Right, as I guess, like I was mentioning with the Shakur Warrington, heavy rumors of a fight there. A lot of rumors as well, a lot of logic surrounding a potential mega fight and unification bout between Vasily Lomachenko and the aforementioned Teofimo Lopez. Right, a Brooklyn boy and another ESPN top-ranked favorite. Okay, as he does backflips in the ring and has worn the jersey of the Heisman Trophy winner in New York City on Heisman Trophy night the past 2 years. So if you're not a huge boxing fan, he's that jackass that you've seen on SportsCenter doing the Heisman poses. That's the last 2 years he's been on those post-college football ESPN cards that we've talked about. So Lopez is a favorite from ESPN there, so no logistical issues getting a matchup going versus Lomachenko as well. Holding a belt at division in which Lomachenko is on quest to unify, right? I guess big story here as well. Another guy that I'll put in the same boat, although a much different logistical situation versus Gervonta Tank Davis, okay, who's another guy at the division who's holding a strap, and another guy that could provide an absolute major mega fight for Lomachenko, however, and really, another one of the true, up-and-coming prospect stars in the sport for the last couple of years is Tank Davis, as we've all known about him being kind of the blue chip prospect out of the Money Mayweather camp. Okay, and he was the young kid that that everybody always kind of taught the heir apparent to Mayweather, and the next Mayweather coming from the Money May from Team Money May, right? However, much different style than Mayweather, and a much more similar style to Teofimo Lopez, as they're both knockout artists and heavy hitters in the lightweight division. Okay, so conflicting styles there for sure for Lomachenko or Teofimo or Tank Davis, who are definitely much more, knockout artists as opposed to, 12-round traditional lightweight, fast feet, fast hands fighters, as Vasily Lomachenko is the king of. So definitely a fun fight stylistically there, with, I guess, the main concern really being, can Lomachenko handle the heat? Which I guess is the real question for Lomo. Like I mentioned earlier, getting dropped in that Linares fight. Okay, and just ultimately, we've not really seen Lomachenko in a big slug fight. However, we have seen him dropped a couple times, as that does appear to be the one weakness of Lomachenko, is he might not exactly have an iron chin. As well, that float like a butterfly style that he has oftentimes leads him a little bit off balance. Also, oftentimes in such domination, kind of tends to little ease up and come in a little too freely at times. So against a real heavy hitter like Tank Davis or Teofimo, who might be getting lit up on the scorecards, but one shot can end it. If Vasily gets too confident, floating around, landing shots from too many angles, as is kind of Lomachenko's style, like I said, literally floats like a butterfly, with just the fastest feet in boxing, able to kind of come at you from different angles, and you can't really hit him because by the time you're set, he's at a different launching point. And such a great defensive fighter, but such great offensive ability as well, with that speed. Virtually impossible to keep yourself from getting punched in the face for 12 rounds by Loma, and would love to see him in a major matchup versus either Teofimo or Tank or Devin Haney, who's another up and coming prospect in featherweight division, who I believe did win the belt that was vacated by Santa Cruz when he jumped up. All right, as well, there's other guys just around the same division, and like I mentioned, Lomachenko potentially moving down in weight, but Oscar Valdez, an undefeated guy, of course, Santa Cruz, who everybody feels has been on the run from Lomachenko for a while, as both being ESPN fighters, and that was kind of a logical candidate to give Lomachenko his first big mega fight. It hasn't been able to get done for the last couple of last year or so. I'd love to see potentially that go down in 2020. Potentially even, some of the featherweights that could potentially move up a couple divisions, or, meet Lomachenko halfway, like I mentioned, if he does decide to move down. But, you got Zhu Khan, or, any of the English fighters, Warrington, Kid Gallahan, Carl Frampton, even my boy Shakur. But lot of good fighters kind of hovering around the lightweight division, where Lomachenko, potentially will drop down from anyway. So just a lot of big names and a lot of ESPN top-ranked fighters in that list, as I mentioned as well. So I do believe this is the year in 2020 that we see Lomachenko get put on the major stage against a major fighter in a major moment of major spotlight and major use of the word major randomly for Lomachenko and the number 3 for Lomachenko and the number 3 fight I hope to see. But Lomachenko in a mega fight.
Big F! WEFUNK. We Funk.